Hello there, and welcome to your favorite daily program on TV. This morning, I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. I'm standing in for your regular anchor, Yori Folarin. It's 66 days to the 2019 presidential election and 79 days to the governorship election. One state that Nigerians will look out for concerning the governorship contest is the Center of Excellence, that's Lagos State. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says 41 candidates of the various political parties will jostle for the Lagos State governorship seats. Just like the presidential race, analysts have narrowed the contest to a big battle between the governing All Progressive Congress and the major opposition party, that's the People's Democratic Party. So in Lagos, it's expected to be a straight contest between Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressive Congress and Mr. Jimmy Agbaje of the People's Democratic Party. I have in the studio with me a public affairs analyst at Nelson Ekujimi. Nelson, how are you?
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Now, looking at the dynamics of Lagos politics since 1999, from the years of AD 99, AD in 2003, and it became ACN in 2007, and in 2011 it became still ACN, 2015 All Progressive Congress, and 2019 All Progressive Congress. But if you look at the dynamics, it's just one party that has held sway since 1999, from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Babatunde Raji Fashola to Akinwumi Ambode, and we don't know who is next. So looking at what is the peculiarity about Lagos politics that has made the All Progressive Congress dominate since 1999?
Well, thank you very much. Like you have rightly mentioned, Lagos is the center of excellence, and from time immemorial, Lagos has been associated with progressivism with regards to national politics. Lagos was the hotbed of the nationalist struggle. And, the struggle for democracy from military rule, started, Lagos was the hotbed. So it is not, it is not strange in history that Lagos has always followed that pattern of progressive politics. And that is why, since 1999, you can see that Lagos has always aligned itself with progressive politics. And that is a manifestation of the developments.
Even when in 1999 to 2015, the People's Democratic Party held sway at the national level for like 16 years, Lagos was still under the All Progressive
Lagos has its own culture, has its own peculiarities, and you can't take that away from the people of Lagos. That the people of Lagos are, very enlightened. They are sophisticated people that, always want the best for themselves and their state. And for the people of Lagos, progressive politics is what they have always aligned with. If you recollect, even in 1979, in the Second Republic, where you had the NPN of Alhaji Shehu Shagari at the presidency, you had an Alhaji Lateef Jakonde of the UPN, Unity Party of Nigeria. Even when the ruling party at the center then was the NPN, and they had their NPN candidate. Even when we went for the second round of elections in 1983, you also saw, despite the fact that the NPN won at the federal level, the UPN still maintained that stronghold on Lagos. That tells you clearly that that culture of Lagos as a state for progressive politics is not going to change, not now, and I don't see it doing that in the nearest future. Because
don't you think that there might be a change of position from the result of the 2015 election that we got between the APC and the People's Democratic Party? A breakdown will show you that the People's Democratic Party, for the first time in history, actually had 8 seats out of 40 in the Lagos House of Assembly, and they actually made inroads into the Federal House of Representatives.
Well, why I will not want to go into the details of what led to that, we are all aware that at times the infighting within a particular political party, if Lagosians are aligned with you, it's also a manifestation of the fact that, no matter what the party or the candidate they are throwing up, once the people don't align with that thought, that the person mirrors the image of the party, or if the people feel there are some certain unforeseen circumstances that is not, that cannot be explained because of the brevity of time we have at this program. That was the reason why you saw that change of narrative. But when we are looking at this change of narrative, we are looking at it from the micro level. But when you are looking at it from the macro level of the state as a whole, it is very, very unlikely that you have this type of change, that people will move from a perceived perception that this is a progressive party, and this is a conservative party, that the people will say, oh, we are going this other way. No matter what, the temperature of Lagos from 1979 till date, you have reeled out the history, has remained the same. And it is still the same people.
The man that ran against Governor Akinwumi Ambode in 2015, that is Mr. Jimmy Agbaje, is coming again, and this will be his third outing. But his mantra has been freedom. He's saying that he wants to liberate Lagosians, he wants to free Lagosians, and he has said a lot of things that the APC, since 1999 to 2018, they've not been able to give a good account of, he claimed, 7 trillion naira.
Well, my response to that is that is very, very arrogant and insultive of Lagosians. As I'm sitting down here before you, I'm one out of millions of Lagosians who, by the grace of the Almighty, has, benefited from, tertiary education. And for somebody in a democracy, a candidate, to tell me he wants to free me, that means the man is telling me that I don't have comprehension of my being as a person, that I'm not in control of my thoughts. And that for me is an insult. And that is the way I see it. If you have a program that you want to sell to the people of Lagos, any reasonable politician should avail us and stop insulting us. How can you tell me at 50 years of age that I'm in bondage? That is very, very crude.
It's possible for you to be in bondage, but you won't know.
Oh, how does he know he's not in bondage? That I'm the one in bondage. How does he know that? Does he know what goes on in my mind? It means he's telling us that about 22 million Lagosians, that we don't have our thinking caps on. That's the way I see that message. When I saw that message, I was very, very angry. That what sort of message is this? Don't forget, in 2015, this same candidate you have just mentioned said if Nigerians don't vote for former President Goodluck Jonathan, that Nigeria will go up in flames. I would say, what a reckless statement from you. How can you say Nigeria will go up in flames if one person is not elected as president? Are you threatening Nigerians? The right to determine who rules the people is theirs. Even if in our own wisdom, even if in his own wisdom, we are foolish. That is democracy for you. That the foolish majority have decided this is where they want to go. So any responsible Democrat, whether the people in your estimation are foolish or they are wise, you must respect their decision. That they are human beings like you. You don't have a superior, you are not a superior creation. Because on election day, whether you are a candidate or an electorate, you only have one ballot paper to turn print. The electoral umpire or the Nigerian Constitution does not say because you are the candidate of a party that all the ballot papers should be given to you to turn print. That is not democracy.
But recent research actually reflected that Lagos is one of the worst cities to live in the world. I think the third worst city to live in the world. And you look at ease of doing business, you look at traffic, you look at accessibility of roads, you look at infrastructure, you look at the several indices to be able to arrive at this verdict. Will that not be a kind of damning verdict against the ruling party that has held sway since 1999?
Well, you must also recognize the fact that Lagos is like mini Nigeria. As the government in Lagos is solving one problem, another problem arises. Lagos is battling with mountainous, deluge of problems. Lagos has a population that you cannot, put your finger on. Every minute, young men and women feel that Lagos is the London. This is where they can make it.
They are leaving their villages to come.
They are leaving their villages in droves. So what we should be canvassing for, in as much as one should appreciate that research, and that should enjoin us all to put on our thinking caps, even those who are aspiring to lead us, that, oh, look.
Do you even agree with that research at all, that Lagos is one of the worst cities to stay in the world? You as a resident of Lagos.
Because I have not lived in those other cities,
Okay.
I wouldn't want to subscribe totally to that, outcome of the research findings, except if we bring people from those other environments and you bring somebody from here, and we are together at a round table and we can discuss the living conditions. Because at times, the research is, you don't really get to have some of the major facts that can unearth the truth. So, in as much as I want to give that research the benefit of that, not that I'm agreeing with it, but because for me, as a social scientist, as a social crusader, if anybody or a group of people have come up with findings about my society, I won't just throw it into the dustbin. My responsibility is to look at those issues they have raised and juxtapose it with the realities. And if it is in tandem with the realities, my position is that I will now be thinking, what is the way forward? And not to say I'll be brooding, oh, why am I in this state? The whole essence of humanity is to make life better than we met it. So if a research has come out to say Lagos is the worst city to live in, maybe because of the traffic, and when you look at the traffic, really we are going through hell, because Lagos transportation system is solely road, and there's no city in the world that you depend on one means of transportation and there won't be chaos. What are we doing about the railway? What are we doing about the waterways? Lagos is an island. Lagos is blessed with abundant water resources. How are we making use of that water resources to make life meaningful for our people than the time we spend on the roads? So for me, those indices that the research has undertake that they have identified as the reasons for Lagos being, from their own estimation, being one of the worst cities to live in the world, is one that any candidate, instead of you telling me you want to come and free me from bondage, of which I'm not in bondage. I don't know about you. I, Nelson Ekujumi, that is sitting in front of you, with my level of education and my age as a human being, I'm in full comprehension of what I'm saying here, that I'm not in bondage. I expect any candidate who is serious enough to recognize the worth of human beings in a democracy to refrain or to withdraw that language and apologize for telling us we Lagosians are in bondage. It is unacceptable.
Since 1999 and till this time, do you think optimally that Lagos under the All Progressive Congress, this is the best we can do? This is the farthest we can go? And are you satisfied with the situation of things in Lagos right now? A lot of people will tell you that Lagos is on autopilot right now. A lot of people will tell you that looking at the streets, looking at the refuse littered all around the streets of Lagos, the bad roads, the potholes, and a lot of people will say they're not happy that the APC has not given them value for governance.
Well, if you compare the role of the progressives in the governance of Lagos from 1999 till date, and you compare with some other states that have not had the benefit of being ruled by party associated with progressivism, definitely you know that you want to stay on the side of the progressives, despite the fact that we might not be where we want to be because of so many challenges. You talked about the present state of affairs, and you and I know very well that the present state of affairs has been brought about by the political equation on ground today, which it's beyond human human comprehension, or beyond human finding fault with. But that is the reality we have found on our hands. So the responsibility of us at this point in time is to always admonish people at the end of our affairs that if you have signed for a 4-year mandate, even till the last minute or second that you are handing over, you still owe the people the responsibility of delivering on the dividend of democracy. So that is what we expect, even though things are not the way they should be. But that does not mean we should just keep quiet and, believe it's a fait accompli. No! We have a government in power in Lagos. Whether the man there is coming for a second term or not, he has a 4-year mandate from the people of Lagos. His mandate with the people of Lagos did not end on the day he lost the primary election of his party for a second term. And that should be very, very clear to any responsible politician or somebody who is in position of authority. Because who knows, if you are not going for a second term today, who knows where destiny will trust you into, maybe in the next 8 years, or maybe in the next 6 years, or we'll even know tomorrow. Maybe there's an international organization watching and looking at you and saying that, oh, this man is a good material that that has impacted on people, and we can make use of him to get the best out of his God-given talents. That's what we should be doing.
Let's look at, we have 41 other political parties or 41 other candidates, and even let's say at the local government level, the House of Assembly level, do you foresee a situation whereby the stronghold of the APC will be broken by smaller party, even at the House of Assembly level, the House of Representative level, maybe to produce the governorship, the governorship ultimately? Or do you see any kind of upsets? And
see,
why?
The truth of the matter is that a lot of our political parties, you have mentioned 41, only come into existence when election is knocking at the door. And for you to have political parties that want to align themselves, they want to get the votes of the people, those political parties must start befriending the people early enough. When they start befriending the people early enough, that will consummate into a marriage. The people are not fools, and the people themselves will not want to trust their destiny with a midnight lover. It is only a lover that you have seen early in the day that will be ready to consummate a relationship with. A lot of these parties, just watch. The moment the 2019 election is over, they go back into the coolers. And that should not be the case. These parties must know that the function of a party is not only to win election. The function of a party is also to keep the ruling party on its toes, generate ideas.
Opposition.
Oh, Nigerians, in 2019, we sought your votes. You gave it to Party X. Look at what Party X is doing in 2023. This is what we can do. This is the roadmap.
Some people have actually accused Mr. Jimmy Agbaje for that it's a perennial governorship candidate is always coming out after 4 years, that in the last 4 years, what has he said about the land use charge? In the last 4 years, what has he said about the state of roads? In the last 4 years, what has he said about, the traffic congestion in Lagos, that it's election time, he gets his mojo again, and he runs?
Well, fortunately enough, I'm not a member of either of the ruling party or the opposition party.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm not. I just have my sympathy. I'm a human being. You must recognize the fact that I have my biases. But when I go on air like this, I try as much as possible to suppress my bias and speak to the facts. But that does not mean that when I have a choice between the ruling party and the opposition party, I won't make a choice, because I live in Lagos. I earn my living in Lagos. My children are in Lagos. I want the best for my children, because you know why? I'm sitting down here before you this morning. I don't know what will happen the next minute. I want a situation whereby wherever I may be, whether I'm living or I'm in the other world, that I'll have the rest of mind that, look, I played my part to live a better life for my children. And when I'm talking about my children, I'm not talking only about my biological children. I'm talking about the generations coming behind us. I've heard people say, oh, this man will always wait until the last minute. You recollect that when the primary of the APC had already been concluded, we had this news that an oil mogul was going to become the governorship candidate of the opposition party before Mr. Jimmy Agbaje, emerged. And I've heard it from even, because as we sit down here, a lot of us, we have friends in all the parties, because these party members are friends. With some of us, we worship in the same church, we're in the same club together, and we do all sorts of things together. So I've had them complain that this man always come to just snatch the candidature of the party without contributing to the party. Immediately, the party loses the election. That is always coming at the last minute. Well, for me, I think that is a party affair. They should be able to sort that out within themselves. That, oh, this is how we want to run. If you want to run your party in such a way that somebody will come at the last minute and pick your ticket, that is your cup of tea. If I belong to such a party, we will state the rules. That for you to become a member of this party, to be a candidate of this party, we must have seen your contributions to the party, not only to the national issues, to the party itself. What way have you contributed to the stability of the party? What way have you contributed to the unity in the party? Those are issues that should bother members of the party, rather than some of them saying, oh, this man will just come at the... For me, it's a family affair. So long as that family affair does not extend to disrupting the public peace, I'm at home with it.
A lot of people say Governor Akinwumi Ambode in the last 3.5 years actually performed very well, but due to, his relationship with his party members, that's why he's going to be denied. He has been denied the opportunity of coming for a second term in office, and a lot of people are complaining that those projects that he actually initiated, that he might not be able to finish them. It's quite unfortunate that Akinwumi Ambode might not come back for a second term in office.
Well, you must recognize one fact, that the party is the vehicle through which a candidate gets into office. On election day, on the ballot papers, no candidate name is inscribed on the ballot papers. It is the logo of the party. So it is very, very wise for any politician to always ensure that that vehicle is intact, that at the right time the engine oil of that vehicle, is changed, that the brake oil, you check the brake oil, you check the radiator of the party vehicle to ensure that the party is in top shape. If you neglect the party, which is the tool through which you got into office, even the manifesto that you implement when you get into office will not be your personal manifesto. It will be the manifesto of the party. So, but if as a leader or as a politician, you jettison the vehicle of your party, don't be shocked when the vehicle is moving to the next destination. The party members will lock the door against you and say, Mr. Man, you are no longer a member of this party and you cannot come into this bus. Okay,
let me quickly take my first caller for the day. Lawrence is calling us from Magboro. Magboro is in Ogun State. Many thanks for joining us, Lawrence.
Yeah, Mr. Ayo, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, your guest, Mr. Elkujimi, how are you?
Good morning, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, my contribution to this issue is Nigeria needs to understand the perspective of democracy. Democracy does not mean one party should win election. It's not compulsory that APC should win randomly in Lagos State. We have 41 political parties. But since after 2015 election, we have not seen any alternative voice in Lagos State. It is as election is approaching now, we have many candidates. That is good. But on the side of Governor Ambode, Nigeria should dilute their mind. It is not compulsory any governor must have second term. More so, if it is not aligned with his party manifesto, the party can deny him. That's why we shouldn't bother ourselves. And it's not compulsory one party should be at the landline. We are running multi-party democracy. Go and campaign with the people. If the people prefer that party, so be. That is my contribution. We have to understand the philosophy of democracy, please.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. Thank you so much for your contribution. And Lawrence, as you said earlier.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. I align with that position, and that is what
it's not compulsory for any governor to think that, look, once I spend my 4 years,
second time should not be a fait accompli. No, the second time should
away from the norm, whether you perform or not, for the fact that you are there, you are allowed to continue for 8 years.
That will even make you to be very, very responsible and accountable to not only your party, but also to the electorate. Because if the party does not, put you forward as a candidate, how do you become a governor?
Actually, I have a George. George is calling us from Ikeja. Thank you for joining us, George.
Good morning, Ayo, and good morning to Mr. Kujimi.
Good morning.
Ayo, thank you for what you are doing.
You're welcome, George.
The issue about governorship election in Lagos State is a done deal. Ayo, you will agree with me, based on facts on the ground, that there is no opposition in Lagos.
There is.
A person comes to tell you that he wants to free you from bondage, it's an indirect way of saying, I'm coming to share money. Which bondage? He should tell us what project he wants to embark upon, what are the things he will do differently from what is already being done now. If I don't know the yardstick that research report you talked about was based on. If Lagos is the economic capital of the whole of West Africa region, how come it is the worst place to do business? The two do not align. If the best of business is being carried out here successfully, and we are saying it is the worst place to do business, how did they attain that status? The roads that keep spoiling here and there is as a result of the usage. I move around. If you patch a road today in Lagos, because of the number of vehicles and the weight they carry, within 3 months, that road needs repairs again. And the government has so many other things that they want to do with money. So if it waits for 4 months, 5 months, something that should have been done in 3
Judge,
months,
let me
it
just
becomes a deficit.
Okay, let me cut you up there. I will allow Nelson to round up on the submission because I think we have the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, that is Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, in the House, and any moment from now, we're going to have him on. Nelson, ultimately, it's going to be a contest between Mr. Sanwo-Olu and Jimmy Agbaje. Yeah. This will be the third outing for Jimmy Agbaje. Yeah. He did it under DPA in 2007. He did it in 2015 under the People's Democratic Party. This will be his second time under the People's Democratic Party. Yeah. What are those prospects? Because a lot of people will say Babajide Sanwo-Olu is new.
Well, Babajide Sanwo-Olu is new, but to governance, you and I know very well that he's not new to governance. This is a man who has been commissioner, a member of the State Executive Council for about 2 terms. And, he has also served in various capacities in both the private and the public sector. So anybody saying Babajide Sanwo-Olu is new will need to go and look at his history. That this is a man who has been in the public sphere for quite some time. And, he has, distinguished himself. So the people have this choice to either remain with the progressives and continue to witness development or do otherwise. But knowing Lagosians, knowing our history, I believe Lagosians, are the most enlightened people in the world, and they will do justice, because the future of Lagos is very, very important to us.
I want to thank you, Mr. Nelson Ekujimi.